In this video, I will tell you more about Jira software features dedicated to Scrum teams. There are two types of boards that are available in Jira software, Scrum boards and Kanban boards. The latter will be covered in a separate video. Most of the Scrum-focused features are built around Jira boards, which will be our main focus. Scrum boards allow to display only work that is important to your teams and group work based on what you need to see, and view Agile reports to monitor work progress and challenges. There is a good chance that you already have access to Jira software boards in one or more of your Jira projects. You can access them in several different ways. You can use your work section. You can access boards from the standard search box. And you will also see the board inside of a project you have access to. You can still switch to other boards from here. Please know that if I pick a board from a different project, Jira will also change the project I'm in the scope of. Jira Scrum board is the visual display of a Scrum team's sprint planning, delivery, and reporting during their development lifecycle. Scrum focuses on a hierarchy of work that is reflected in Jira software. First is the epic, then we got a story, and then subtasks. If you are using a Scrum board for software development, bugs are at the same level as the story and are related to a development defect impacting an epic. Each Jira issue that we see on this board represents work to be done. Some of them, like subtasks, may be very specific and small, while others, for example an epic, are high level, waiting to be broken down into smaller pieces. Two main concepts that are relevant on Scrum boards are backlog, a list of all issues that can be implemented and completed. These are estimated, planned, and committed for a future sprint. And sprints, repeating period in time, usually 2 weeks long, during which the committed work from the backlog is worked on. There might be multiple sprints visible on your board. To understand why, you need to know the typical life cycle of a sprint. During sprint planning, the team decides what issues from the backlog should they commit to delivering in this sprint. These issues should be specific and small enough to be completed before the sprint's end date. A fully planned sprint is ready to be started once the team reviews and commits to it. When the time comes, the sprint will be started, usually by a Scrum Master or a team leader. It then becomes an active sprint, indicating that this is what the team is currently working on. Active sprints have a separate screen with more details that we will discuss later in this video. And finally, when the sprint comes to an end, the sprint is closed and no further changes will be made to it, but a new one will be started, of course. The ball needs to keep rolling, doesn't it? During a sprint, you can monitor and track your progress on the Reports tab to see if the team is on track, what blockers or challenges the team may be facing, or to check a summary of work completed. The best practice is to have only one active sprint at a time, so that team members can focus only on the most important tasks that are in a given sprint and deliver them more efficiently. Tasks not in an active sprint should not be worked on. Let us have a look at how Jira software supports these different stages of the sprint's lifecycle, starting from the backlog view. At the top, you can see the active sprint. In the middle, you might see sprints that are in the planning or scope definition phase. At the bottom, there is a backlog with a list of all issues waiting to be planned and added to a sprint for delivery later. You can plan the content of the sprint by drag and dropping issues from the backlog into the target sprint. You can also drag the boundary of the backlog like this, which is probably the fastest way of populating your sprint, especially when the issues in your backlog are sorted by their importance. If issues are estimated in story points, you will see the sum of story points of planned issues at the bottom of the inactive sprint or at the top of an already started one, divided by their status, for example, to do, in progress, and done. You might also want to help populate the backlog or sprint scope with new issues. You can conveniently do that by clicking Create Issue at the bottom of the backlog or directly under a non-active sprint. On the left side, you can see vertical epics and versions filters, which allow you to easily manage them without leaving this screen. Let's start with versions. In this panel, you can see all versions with their progress. After expanding information related to one of the versions, you will see a description, start and end dates of the version, information about the total number of issues, the number of completed and unestimated issues assigned to this version. If you want to see more, you can click Details, which will direct you to the version screen. For epics, you can see the summary of the number of issues in the epic. Click the epic issue key to be redirected to its details. You can also create issues in epics from this level. More on epics in a bit. The backlog view provides little information on issue status and in consequence on the state of the whole sprint itself. Fortunately, the Active Sprints view provides more visibility to help manage work effectively. Active Sprints screen is basically a Kanban board with nearly all of its features. For a more in-depth look at the Kanban board, please check the other video in this course. To indicate progress of issues from your active sprint, you will want to change their statuses. It's easy with drag and drop here. The goal, of course, is to complete all the work before the sprint ends. Time left until the end of the sprint is always shown on the board. The active sprint screen shows all issues from all active sprints from this board. It doesn't have the releases element available, but has insights instead. They allow you to view the sprint's progress and information about the number of epics that are being worked on in this sprint. I've mentioned epics a few times already. Let us take a look at what they are and how to work with them. Epics are used to represent larger pieces of work that can be broken down into smaller elements, essentially grouping the issues. In software development, an epic can represent a feature, and issues within this epic stand for tasks to be done to deliver the said feature. To allow that, epics have special functionality in Jira software that is not available on any other issue types. The main one is the ability to connect related user stories and bugs to an epic. This lets you align the work needed to finish an epic and create a hierarchy that can be delivered in a sprint. Any issue type that is not a subtask or another epic can be linked like this. This connection can be done from the epic level, but you can also assign the issue to an epic from the details screen of this issue. You can also easily do it from the board by dragging and dropping them to the epic. Jira uses this unique association called an epic link to provide additional functionalities, for example, completed work against an epic, search capabilities using JQL, or Gantt-like planning in advanced roadmaps. Epics are also handled differently on boards, namely, they cannot be planned in sprints, but issues belonging to epics can. That's why you get special grouping by epics on the side of the board to help you understand that they can span across multiple sprints. Issues belonging to an epic also have the epic name displayed on them in the backlog view, active sprints view, or on your Kanban boards. To finish this video, let us take a look at some of the Scrum reports. I will not be discussing all the reports in depth, but I will give an overview of the most common ones. Burn down chart shows how many stories or story points were delivered in the sprint at each moment in time. It lets you check if you are on track and if the team will be able to deliver the whole sprint content. After the sprint is over, it allows you to check if there were any anomalies during the sprint, like reopened issues, issues added, or estimates changed. Burn up chart, similar to burn down chart, but shows work completed each sprint to forecast if larger goals are on track and show predictability. It allows you to better monitor the expansion of sprint scope and understand the impact of scope changes over time. Version and epic reports helps you monitor work progress for each version or epic based on estimates and the number of issues assigned to them. Using epics, user stories, story points, and working on Scrum boards with sprints and a backlog is crucial for any Scrum team. It's the best path to increase communication and transparency, promote sprint planning, and iterate development, improve team focus and organization. Don't think that it's just for software development teams though. Large, complex marketing, business, or HR projects are successfully handled through Jira Software Agile features too. Thank you.